Most people grow up hearing a neat, comforting story about money that sounds logical and harmless. I believed that story for years, thinking money simply solved the awkward problem of early barter. According to the tale, trade was inefficient, then money appeared, and civilization magically improved. Simple explanations feel good, but financial history rarely works in simple or comforting ways. The deeper I researched, the more that familiar story began quietly falling apart. In my opinion, money did not appear to help ordinary people live easier lives. Money emerged because growing systems needed structure, coordination, and reliable control mechanisms. Once you recognize that purpose, it becomes difficult to view money the same way again. Before coins, paper, or digital balances, communities did not operate through constant calculated trades. In small societies, value was personal, social, and rooted in relationships rather than numbers. People shared resources because belonging mattered more than tracking exact exchanges. Giving today meant trusting the community would support you tomorrow without formal accounting. Prices did not exist, standards were unnecessary, and written records were largely irrelevant. The system was imperfect, yet effective, while communities remained small and familiar. Accountability worked because everyone knew each other personally. Everything changed as populations expanded and settlements transformed into large connected cities. Trade began occurring between strangers with no shared memory, reputation, or obligation. Trust stopped scaling naturally, and promises lost their power without personal relationships. This was not merely a trading issue, it was a governance crisis. Rulers faced difficult questions about collecting resources and maintaining order across large populations. How do you fund armies or infrastructure without personal loyalty? Money entered history as infrastructure, not convenience or moral progress. Value required a form that could travel, endure time, and be universally counted. Food spoiled, animals wandered, land could not move, and labor vanished after completion. Metals solved these problems through durability, divisibility, and relative scarcity. Copper, bronze, and silver mattered because they functioned well under pressure. Metal made value portable, and portability reshaped societies permanently. Merchants did not first transform metal into money, states did. Early governments needed currency to command, not simply to trade. Armies cannot survive on goodwill or verbal promises alone. Soldiers required standardized payment that authority could enforce reliably. Tax systems demanding metal pulled everyday people into markets involuntarily. To obtain currency, people sold goods, labor, and time. Markets did not grow organically. Obligation forced their creation. This reality is rarely emphasized in basic financial education. Money was never neutral or designed to produce fairness. It was engineered to measure, extract, and move value efficiently. Once extraction became reliable, value could be stored long-term. Stored value enabled accumulation beyond immediate survival needs. Accumulation allowed power to expand without constant visible force. This shift remains one of the most underrated moments in human history. Before public marketplaces, temples and palaces served as financial centers. Accounting systems and ledgers existed before coins circulated widely. That sequence reveals how the system developed from the top downward. When rulers stamped metal, they were stamping authority itself. Coins replaced personal trust with trust in centralized power. Each transaction reinforced the legitimacy of whoever controlled issuance. Control over money introduced temptation alongside efficiency. Those who managed supply also managed purity and quantity. Governments learned they could stretch resources by altering metal content. Short-term relief felt immediate, while long-term consequences stayed hidden. Inflation did not begin in modern times. It began with adjustable money. Trust eroded slowly, often after decision-makers were gone. Societies rarely reverse monetary systems once they are established. Even when confidence declines, money adapts instead of disappearing. Money evolved alongside power, not away from it. Materials changed, but the underlying logic remained consistent. Authority defines value. Abstraction replaces trust. obligations enforce compliance. Stored value allowed governments to plan patiently rather than react violently. Armies could be prepared before conflicts officially began. Bureaucracies expanded quietly during peaceful periods. In my view, patience is money's most underestimated form of power. Monetary systems outlast rulers because structure survives symbolism. As money spread, it stopped being a tool and became an environment. Wealth could persist across generations, detached from original labor. Debt could survive lifetimes and remain enforceable. Inequality could endure long after its initial causes vanished. Money became invisible, natural, and unquestioned in daily life. When pressure increased, rulers adjusted the system instead of challenging it. Small changes delayed visible consequences and reduced resistance. Inflation emerged gradually, masking responsibility and intent. The pattern feels familiar because it never truly ended. Modern money lacks metal but retains identical structural DNA. Authority, obligation, and enforcement still underpin value today. Taxes remain due, debts enforceable, scarcity managed through policy. Language evolved, but the mechanism stayed the same. Assuming money was built for fairness remains a common mistake. Money evolved to scale power, not guarantee justice. Understanding this does not require rejecting money entirely. It requires seeing the system clearly and realistically. Inflation, debt, and crises are structural features, not accidents. Large systems require imbalance management, not perfection. Financial awareness is not about predicting the next collapse. It is about recognizing where you stand within the system. Stability benefits some groups, while volatility burdens others. Money coordinates massive systems but cannot ensure fairness. It cannot replace judgment or protect misplaced trust. The greatest risk is assuming money is neutral. History reveals the logic beneath the system's behavior. Once you see that logic, smarter decisions naturally follow.